Hello everyone. I want to introduce you to what we're calling Boilex portable multi-fuel stove, which you can see in front of you here. This stove is designed to be able to run fuels of pretty much any type, from the base design as you see it, where it will burn biomass, so that can be anything from dry agricultural waste through to branches, twigs, and can even include pre-prepared fuels such as wood pellets. In its second configuration, we can burn what we call high energy density fuel blocks, and in the third configuration we can even burn liquid fuels in this stove, and there will be a series of videos following this to show you how we do that. Now let's talk about the stove itself. It's squat and wide, and that's to make sure that it remains stable when in use, with pots and pans on the top that can weigh anything up to 10 kilos and can come out to this kind of size. The stove itself contains a small fan and a battery to drive that fan, and the fan produces forced air through the stove, and by doing that we ensure that we have clean burn. That means very little soot and no atmospheric soot, so the air quality around the stove remains excellent. So to control the fan that's in this unit, we have some switchgear and electronics inside. We have a infinitely variable switch where at the moment it's off. If we turn it on, it's now at very low speed and you can't hear anything. This can be progressively increased and at maximum produces quite a strong current of air through the stove, and that ensures that through that range of fan use we have clean combustion. Now, what else is it that this stove can do? As mentioned just now, we have a battery in this unit to drive the fan, switch, and some electronics to control it. Now that means that this battery has to be periodically charged, and to do that there are 3 or 4 options available to the user to charge this unit. If you look towards the base of this unit, under the switch there is a charging port, and in there can be plugged a simple mains charger. This works off the electricity mains that you find in most domestic and other situations, so that just plugs into there. Plug that in the wall and this will charge fully within around 4 to 5 hours. That charge will ensure that this stove, the fan, will run continuously at maximum for over 20 hours. A second way to charge this stove would be if you were away from home and there's no main supply available. If you've gone in a vehicle, then you can use a vehicle adapter. Again, plugs into the same charging port, and this would plug into the vehicle power outlet socket, commonly known as a cigarette lighter socket. So that will charge the battery from a vehicle. And the third option is to use a solar panel, and this solar panel will charge under low light conditions. So on a cloudy day, or even using indoor lighting, this solar panel will charge this stove, again in the same charging port as the other chargers, and this charging panel will take about 12 to 15 hours of sunlight to charge the battery from flat to full charge. This charger, the solar charger, is an option with the stove, as is the mains charger. So these 2 units come as standard with the stove. Other charging options come as optional extras. Now this stove because it has an inbuilt battery, and the battery is a 5 amp hour battery, can be used for other purposes. It has other things it can do. You can use that battery when you're away from mains electricity to do a number of things, and we provide a standard in this stove 2 power outlet sockets. We can provide more on special orders. We have here a USB outlet charger. This is a regulated power supply for USB charged devices. We have here on the left an unregulated power outlet supply. This will supply electricity at the full power that's available to this battery, which is a 5 amp hour battery. So what can you charge on this? What can you run off this? Well, we provide as part of the kit for the stove an LED light. This LED light comes with 5 meters of cable, has an on-off switch, and plugs into this unregulated power outlet supply just here. So there we are. We have that, and that will light a tent or other small environment, even outdoor, for the user. Moving on to the USB port. What can you use the USB port to charge? Well, most of us will know that there are numerous things that can be plugged into a US port these days to charge up, and we have here, I've got a number of examples of units. We have here an electric lighter. This can be used to light paper, grasses, small slivers of wood, fuels. You put it down and there it is. It will light, and this is charged up using the USB port. Push it in, that's now charging. What else can be used in this device? Well, if you use a regular USB cable, plug it into here, you now have power, for instance, to charge your smartphone. Typical everyday smartphone, plug it in, and this is now charging from the battery in that stove. And the battery and power in here is probably enough for a couple of charges from flat for a modern smartphone. This stove can also charge if you take with you a USB chargeable radio, and here's one that I use. So this can be charged again from this stove. What else? Personal music. So this one comes with its own USB plug, and that will now charge my MP3 player. The list goes on. We have here an electric shaver. This again can be charged through the USB port. A razor. And finally, just to complete some illustrations, we have here a small fan that runs off a USB supply. So plug that in. So this fan, if it's a hot environment, can be used in your tent or wherever, relatively quiet, and this fan will keep you cool in your tent. Okay, that's what this stove can do in terms of ancillary equipment. Let's now get on and demonstrate this stove in action with various fuel types.